and welcome back to my channel, Obsessed with Christmas. Today we're going to be doing the estate build. This is going to be another one of the 2 or 3 parters, but I'm going to take you through the drawing of where things should go all the way to the finished landscape in the snow. So grab your popcorn, grab a drink, or if you want to follow along with me, grab your foam and your tools, and let's get crafting. We are once again going to start with our black wash and our brush. We're going to paint this area, including this and this side. This right here will be the driveway, so it will be a different color, and as you can see, I've marked it out. Let's get started. Now that we have painted our platform and it has dried, I was going to show you putting the ground cover down. I am not going to do the gray like I did on the other one here. We're going to try something different. I am going to do gray here. And then my brain told me, welcome to the chaos. You have been warned that it needs some rocks right here. So I dug into my scrap styrofoam. Try not to keep too much of this around, guys. It gets out of control pretty quickly. You don't have any little weirdo pieces laying around, just cut some at random angles. That's all you need to do. There's no real trick to it. I happen to have some though, so I just cut them small. And we're going to glue them on because my brain was like, you need rocks. So I think the theme of Oakwood Village this year is the town that grew out of the mountains or something, because there's going to be rocks everywhere. Now, we will need to repaint this, obviously. We'll have to plaster it, actually, and then paint it. So, yes, yes, I will answer your question. I have made more work for myself, yes. But that's how this goes sometimes. And probably one more will work, because I don't want it super. Actually, we're gonna just break that in half. How about, and get that there. And I'm going to glue on the other side as well. Okay. All right, guys, I've got my bowl again, and I've got some plaster strips, not too many. There's about 4 or so, about an inch or so, just over an inch. We're just going to take it. Once again, you just dip it in your water. I recommend gloves, but I don't care for getting dirty. And that's okay that this is on there. It's going to dry. And it'll be fine. It actually looks like we're going to need more. I underestimated. That happens sometimes. But that's okay. I'll just take my gloves off, cut some of the stuff, and we'll try again. There we go. And then once this plaster is dry, we can begin our painting process. I do also have some towels They're just like work towels you can use for staining or other just home projects around your house. And we've always got some, so I'm just using that to kind of wipe up some of this a little bit. But you see once again how we went from super, super sharp, right, to a little bit more smooth. A little bit more smooth. And yeah, that's not big enough, so I'll be right back. I'm going to cut some more plaster and we will finish up. Okay, I've cut some that are more like 2 inches now, so that should work better, especially because I've already sort of got some. That should work better now, especially since I already have some plaster over. And I'm just working to smooth that out. All the little holes. I can just get my fingers wet and just kind of get in there. And then you can also use plaster of Paris, or I think there's Hydrocal from Woodland Scenics. You can use those as well, just to help fill in the holes. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I've turned the platform a bit so that it's a little bit easier for me to work with and for you guys to see. There. And that didn't even need my last plaster strip. That will be our more or less rocky area, because it's called Hop Castle Folly, and on the description of the box it says it's a hunting lodge. So this will be perfect. It's sort of a rocky area, and that would make perfect sense for something like that to exist there. Okay. And I'm just going to clean up again a little bit. And you cannot paint this when wet. All you're going to do is make a big mess. Oop, actually right here, I might actually put that plaster strip, but I think I'm going to cut it in half. Cut it again. So now it's back to 1 inch, because from this angle I can see where there's sort of a gap right here, and I want to go ahead and close that gap. When you cover like this, when you're just dabbing, do this gently. Do not apply a lot of pressure. You're just gently touching. You don't want to undo your hard work. A little bit more. That's how this kind of work goes, guys. That's how this work goes. Just have to be patient and be willing to change your plan, you know, if something isn't working. Okay. And for now, we're going to call that done. And I have a lot of plaster dust over there, which I will just take outside to the front yard. As y'all know, I work in my garage for the most part. I will take this outside once it dries. And we'll just shake it off out there. But I don't want to do it while it's wet. And then we will be good to go, and we will come back for the painting. Well, we may have to do one more thing of plaster to cover these holes. We'll see how it looks when it dries. But we may have to cover, we may have to do one little thing of plaster first. Okay, guys, we are going to paint this plaster that has dried. I have my apple barrel paint, acrylic, very, very easy to work with. It's a very small amount. I'm not going to worry about using my water to like black wash it first. Take the like part out. I'm not going to use the black wash with the water first. I'm just going to go ahead and paint this on. It's a very small amount. And all the sort of white that you might be able to see, I am not worried about, because that is going to get painted over. And I'm not taking too much on the brush as we go here. Just taking a little bit, doing one small section at a time. And then when this dries, we're going to come back with our gray paint, which you can buy gray paint if you really want to. I just usually mix my black and white in varying amounts of black. A little bit of black does go a very, very long way. So if you pour more black than you intend, it is going to take way more white to get it to that gray color that you want. So I'll show you again when I do my gray wash, but I prefer to pour my white paint, and then I will take whatever brush I'm using, usually only like the end, you know, right here, and just dip it in just a little bit, because you can always dip more. You can't unmix though. That is not possible. You cannot unmix. We're going to go ahead and update this, because this will also be black washed. So I want to start with a good. There's we'll have the gray on it as well. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. Just checking. Yep, there we go. Again, sometimes tapping works better. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. And then this will dry. It's pretty warm in my neck of the woods, so it should dry fairly quickly. And the next thing we're going to do is we'll do our gray washing, and then when we go to put our landscaping, we're going to do our black landscape first, and we'll cover this up, I don't know, maybe with some newspaper or something, so that it doesn't get, it keeps the two areas separate. This is now dry, and I've poured just a very small amount of white paint. And because we're only going to do this very small area, okay, what I'm actually going to do, instead of pouring this out, because this paint is, not that you can see it very well, but it is thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, and I'm just going to dab a little bit in it. Okay, so just actually even this little bit is too much. So what I'm going to do, we can come back to it. I do mean a little bit, because see, look how dark, you know, just one little bit. And that's just one little bit. Imagine if we mixed all of that in. Whew. That's a lot. Okay, now do it again where we get just on the edge of our brush. Okay, so I just have a very, very small amount. Okay, very, very small. So now, remember, like with our first one, right? We're gonna, that's kind of a lot, but that's okay, because this is our first coat out of, you know, 2 or 3. See how that looks better already, as opposed to what we had before, which was the straight. Sorry, y'all probably can't see that as well. There. And now I'm going to leave this, one more spot here. Okay, I'm going to leave this to dry, and then I'm going to come back. It's rather warm here, so it will not take very long. I'm going to come back with just a dab of black into a little bit more white paint and really knock this out. Once this dries, we will be back to paint the second coat, which will give more contrast and highlight. And then we will start the ground cover. Again, do not worry at all about all of, you know, all of that over there. Okay? I will show you why. I don't know if you can tell, because there's not much paint there, but I basically took a little of the white paint and I mixed it with some of this. So it's very very light. I have scraped, the sides. And we're going to just come in and do just a little more here and there. See how that brightens things up a little bit. And it's just sort of wherever you think, right? Anything that sticks out, it's probably the best place, right? See? All right. Easy peasy. Okay. All right, that finishes up the painting for this particular one. See you soon.